This is the Creative Boom Podcast. For those of you who remember the glory days of web design, of Web 2.0, Flash and ActionScript, when the FWA and Deviant Art were just getting started, and when everything felt new and exciting, almost like a wild west of the internet, then our next guest will make you smile. Elliot Jay Stocks is something of a legend in the web design world, although to tell him that to his face only makes him blush. A humble and unassuming character with long curly hair and an even bigger smile, Elliot began his career working as a junior designer for EMI Music. He says it was a lucky break, but mainly thanks to his portfolio, which had all the websites he designed and built for friends' bands while studying contemporary media practice at university. Some of you will remember Elliot's time spent at Ryan Carson's Carsonified. The website he designed for that agency went down in the Web Design Hall of Fame, and today is still seen as a turning point for the industry. With all that experience, Elliot has done a ton of talks around the world and written for magazines such as Computer Arts and .NET. In 2010, he launched a print magazine called 8 Faces, dedicated to type, typography and lettering. Later on, he joined Typekit as creative director, which has since become Adobe Fonts. Then, after getting married and becoming a father, he and his wife Samantha launched their own magazine on the elusive idea of work-life balance. Today, he's working with Google on Fonts Knowledge, a library of original guides to the world of typography. Interestingly, he's been remote since 2013, working from his peaceful garden office near Bristol, and where I was invited to sit down and chat about his journey so far. Surrounded by many keyboards and instruments, showing a clear passion for making music on the side, I wanted to know if Elliot ever sits still, whether side projects and experiments have always been a focus, and how does he feel about working for Google now? Has he managed to achieve that ultimate goal that we all dream of, to balance life with work and be happy? Stay with us. Wouldn't it be great if you could turn your iPad into a drawing tablet by mirroring your favourite Mac or PC desktop apps? Astropad Studio is the app for you. It's a clever solution for professional artists designed to give the flexibility of an Apple Pencil combined with the full desktop power of software like Photoshop and Illustrator. Sound good? Well, you can start your 30-day free trial of Astropad Studio today, plus save 10% on your first year when you enter the promo code BOOM at checkout. That applies to whether you opt for a monthly or an annual subscription. Visit astropad.com to get started. Hello, thank you for having me. This is a very nice space to be doing a podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming down. Appreciate it.
It's your garden office and also, by the looks of things, your music studio.
It is, yes. It doubles as both. So I've got my music stuff over here, which is what all my colleagues and clients see if they're having a video call with me. But there's lots of very sensible, designy typography books and stuff just out of shop.
Yeah, did you see the article I put on Creative Boom recently? It was like the typical things you see in a designer's studio. I'm just looking around, smiling to myself.
Yeah, I'm conforming.
Don't think on the list was an axe.
Yeah, there's a little axe there for a little. Well, we're out in the countryside, you know. It's beautiful. It's essential.
It's like you're in a wood, in a cabin in the woods. It's very peaceful here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice. And you know what? I just realised I was going to put the water feature on for you.
Oh, I haven't. You have a water feature,
but maybe that would kind of distract in the Possibly. Sound like we've got like calm playing in the background or something.
We could have had some Zen music.
Yeah,
would have made it very easy for editing.
We'll dub it in afterwards. It's all good.
I noticed that you've also got loads of lanyards from like various kind of conferences, because you've done a lot of speaking events over the years.
Yeah,
you're famous.
I don't know about that, but I do have a lot of lanyards.
Yes.
At least there's that. I have some. I need to clear out because they don't really fit there. Some of those are ones where I've been an attendee, but I think most are speaking ones. So I'm gonna clear out the attendee ones and just keep the speaking ones there. I think because that's.
Yeah, I think
means
that
a bit more, I guess.
you can be proud of what you've done and achieved, and
yes,
I love that you have an Apple Watch too. By the way,
I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to
I've
do not disturb.
taken mine off my wrist because it just keeps telling me to stand up all the time.
I know, and it gets quite like you get those things saying check your rings.
Yes,
and my rings are unimpressive for the day. It really puts you in a bad place.
Yeah, well, I know people, and myself included, when I first got it, who will like look at the sort of green exercise ring and they'll be like, "Oh, I've got 5 minutes, and then I can close my rings," and they'll just start running around the house and doing some star jumps. Yay, close my rings.
Exactly. I've been getting a bit like that with Duolingo recently.
Oh, nice.
Where my wife thinks it's it's very silly of me, but if you do it before midday, then you get like an XP boost later in the evening. So then I'm like, oh, I've got my XP before I go to bed. Quick, I've got to do it because I've got my double points I can get. And I never thought I would be kind of lulled into that sort of gamification, but clearly it works.
Clearly it does. You have been, behavioral designed.
Yeah,
you're
totally.
a victim like the rest of us.
Exactly. But I am learning French as a side benefit. So yeah.
Sorry. It's me being ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, we grew up in a similar time. So I get the impression that you have a very kind of, you have a lot of affection for technology.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. And I'm sort of an early adopter in a way, but perhaps less so now. I mean, yeah, we have all these things like, Alexa and the Google Assistant and stuff like that. And,
oh, wow. You've taken the plunge.
Yeah. And my wife's a little bit more distrustful of some of that stuff. So, so I try and rein it in a bit. We kind of, we haven't quite gone, electric cars and stuff like that yet. So yeah, kind of working on it. But yeah, I love, but the tech I especially love is the hands-on stuff.
Yes.
So like the music stuff, it's all sliders and knobs and faders to play with. And that tactile nature is what I really love about it. I think because it's an antidote to software. Maybe that's it. I think working on computers all day.
Yes.
And
building things from nothing.
Yeah. And also that sense of, and this was certainly the case with me with working as a web designer for many years, where you're kind of just sort of putting things out there into the ether and you don't really have much to show for it. And obviously it's really cool the way that the web works and that you can update things immediately and things like that. But I definitely reached a point quite a few years ago where I wanted to have something tangible to show for it. And I started doing print design and things like magazines and stuff like that, because there's nothing quite like having a real physical artifact to kind of hold and see on your shelf or on other people's shelves. It's a really lovely feeling. And you don't quite get that with the web, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Although I do love it.
And it gets very dated very quickly. That's the other thing that's quite interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Has to be constantly updated and improved, and all these standards to think about.
Yeah, I know.
SEO.
I know, all that stuff, all of the behind the scenes stuff.
Now
that matters.
It really matters, and people don't, I think, quite appreciate all the kind of work that goes on behind a website. I mean, it's just phenomenal, really. And you've been there since the start. You were, like you say, an early adopter. You were part of the web design scene of the sort of, dare I say, early 2000s. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, early 2000s. So I sort of got into it around 2002-ish, when sort of the highs of Flash and all of that fun stuff that was happening.
Exciting.
Yeah, really, really exciting times, because it was people just sort of pushing the boundaries and trying things out and working out what works and what didn't.
Yeah.
And I loved all that stuff, and all of it's funny because almost the web now, in some ways, some of the sort of more artistic sites have sort of gone back to those Flash-like days in many ways. And, the web's complicated these days. You have to, write an app to fix a typo in a header. I do kind of miss the uploading a text file via FTP and sort of having it done and dusted.
Yeah.
That was kind of the glory days for me in many ways.
Nice and satisfying to just kind of move on to the next thing very quickly.
Yeah, who needs version control? It's fine.
Who needs standards? just it was kind of very early days, wasn't it? It was glorious, really. I mean, I remember when I started Creative Boom, it was just like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Yeah, let's just get going with it. It'll be fine. And
what was the first iteration of Creative Boom? Was it on like a WordPress site, or how was it?
I think so. I think I kind of came up with a web design and showed it to my software developer husband, who's full stack, and went, can you make that? And he went, tell you what, why don't we just, find I think he said, go away and have a look at, I think it was Theme Forest. Go have a look at Theme Forest, find a magazine template, and I'll get it all set up for you. I was like, cool. And that's kind of really nice for somebody like me who's just a journalist. I'm not putting myself down there, but I am sitting in front of, web design, what would you say? Like the Hall of Fame.
I didn't know about that.
So I'll choose my words carefully. And I was learning HTML and
nice, cool.
and figuring things out. So I found that kind of that time really exciting, and this was like 2009, so it was a bit more advanced by then. But
and I saw a post of yours recently where I think you'd been saying that you'd been doing you sort of been going back into that, like with was it your personal site where you've been kind of rediscovering and doing little bits of design and stuff like that?
Definitely. So I'm now using Ghost for my personal site.
Yes, cool.
A nice, cool template from I think the company's called Beirut Design or something like that.
Okay.
It cost me about $149, and yes, I had to sort of. I think Tom was, working on site somewhere during the day, and I'm impatient and want to get things done. And I thought, right, I need something to sort of tweak the code. How do I do this? So I asked Google and went on a sort of magical mystery tour, and it turned out to be a lot easier than I imagined. And suddenly I found myself, coding the site behind the scenes and feeling very clever with myself.
Yeah.
And when Tom got home, I was like, look what I've done. I loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Best, those kind of like just needing to get something fixed. That's like the best. I think that's how we all learn to do all this stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to sort of have these little side projects. I wonder where I get the energy from, and I get from looking at all the things that you've done, the sort of side projects that you have, the music that you're making on the side, and all these things. They've kind of been nothing but good for your career, haven't they? Because I think you were saying to before we started this chat, your first job came about from just playing around and making websites for your mates in bands.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Great.
I was at university and was doing I was sort of doing bits of web stuff for uni, but not really sort of being taught it properly. It was just sort of amongst some other kind of vague media things that we were working on. And I did on the side, some Flash sites for some friends' bands, basically. And when I left uni, I had a portfolio, not really of my my uni work, but more these bands' websites. And that's what landed me my first job at EMI Records, which was at the time for me, a dream job to have out of uni. And I got to work on a bunch of sites for some big artists and bands, which was lots of fun.
Who did you do the sites for? The
very first one was Joss Stone.
Oh, Joss Stone.
And I often show it in like as a kind of a bit about me thing in talks and show the Flash site, and it's all like auto playing music and
nice
pixel fonts and scrollers with inertia, and it's just so of its time. But I did get to work with some folks that I really enjoy working with, like Massive Attack was probably one of the highlights.
They were great.
Yeah, and I did the site for their Collected album.
Wow.
And I sort of got to work with them directly, which was fun, and got to meet them at a party. Got very embarrassingly drunk.
Did you kind of go up to them and throw your arms around them, tell them how much you loved them?
I mean, not literally, but sort of metaphorically. I ended up, just kind of probably just boring 3D talking to him like for most of the night, I think it was. And
I'm sure you didn't.
Talking about, I did. And I talked about my music, which I was doing at the time was just super, super embarrassing to look back or listen to it now. And oh yeah, I'm cringing.
We've all had those moments where we look back and think, oh, if only I could turn back time.
I know. Do you know, it wasn't even that long ago. I ended up sitting on a train from London to Crewe, sitting next to, I've forgotten his name, from Underworld, who's the main guy, and he's the singer on Underworld.
Yes. Oh gosh. Now you see that I think we're quite similar in personality. I'm terrible with names.
Carl Hyde. There we go.
Yeah, you got it. You got there. You picked it out of the brain.
Yeah, I remembered his name at the end of the day, but I was just sort of dumbstruck to talk to him. We did kind of have a very brief chat at the end of the train journey. He was very, very gracious and just lovely. And I said that, my wife and I are big fans. And he asked me a little bit what I was doing, because I was designing a vinyl sleeve for some techno artists in Berlin at the time. And I was doing that on the laptop. So he asked, which was really nice of him. But I always think, should I have given him a thing where he could listen to some music, or is that what everyone does? Maybe that's what everyone does, and he just doesn't want to hear that.
Everybody does that. I had an ex-boyfriend years ago. He used to make me go up with his CD to kind of various people.
Outsourcing. I like it.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'll go. Or Tekra, I think, was one of them.
Oh yeah, awesome.
He took a CD off me. God, that was a long time ago.
Wow.
Getting dragged around electronica clubs.
Yeah. And he made you do it. That's
made me
amazing.
go up. It's like, there you go.
Not quite confident enough to.
No, I don't think he was. No, I was quite, 6 foot tall and quite imposing. So I thought, yeah, I don't mind. But are you quite happy being on stage then? Because you do all these talks and you your music, your performance. Has it always been a kind of thing for you? You're quite comfortable up there?
I do. I love being on stage, and I do get nervous before talking, for sure. And I did a talk in Hamburg last week, which was the first talk this side of the pandemic.
Wow.
So it's 2.5 years or so since
Good grief.
The last one. So I was a little bit rusty, and I definitely had a moment beforehand where I was sort of, okay, let's just, focus and do some deep breathing and everything.
Yeah.
But I love the energy that you get from the crowd being on stage. And it's very hard to kind of describe it exactly, but that sense of being I think when you got to talk and you're trying to remember what you need to say, and you're trying to time it correctly, and you're trying to be interesting, you're trying to sort of work some jokes in there and kind of keep people sort of interested in what you're talking about. There's almost no time when you're there to be nervous.
Yeah.
That's kind of there just isn't the kind of mental space to kind of be thinking about that. So
no.
That definitely helps. But I love that, and the vibe you get from the audience, and then afterwards, when you're chatting to people at just for the rest of the day or at the after party or something like that. That's just, it's so nice to connect to people in that way, and obviously is a thing that we've all missed for a long time over the last couple of years. So it's been lovely to actually do that in person.
Yeah, this is why it's really surreal for me to be coming out and doing this again, traveling down to Bath and then coming. It's all very kind of surreal to be in your garden office after the time we've had. It's almost like it never happened now, though, don't you
And we're sitting quite distant because of the mics.
We are.
But it almost looks like if anyone saw us, they think that we're being COVID safe, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Socially distanced. Definitely. Was this a talk you did, by the way, with Craig Mudd? Or is this something separate?
It was based on that. So Mark Thieler, who runs Beyond Tellerrand, a series of events in Germany, he put this on with a company called A-Work as a sort of collab event in Hamburg. And he asked me to do a talk that I had done previously at the online version of Beyond Tellerrand, which is called Stay Curious. So I did that in last year, I think.
Yeah.
And I talked, and Craig Mudd did, we were sort of riffing on a similar theme. And so my talk in Hamburg was a sort of a building upon that. And I'm doing that talk a few times this year.
Great.
The next one is it's really soon, actually. It's the Birmingham Design Festival.
Fab.
So depending on when this podcast goes out, that may be
Yeah,
just before,
it might be
or
just before, it might be just after. I can't
10th,
remember.
I think, the 10th of June.
Yeah. Oh, Birmingham Design Festival. So many lovely names on this year as well, and they work so hard.
It's a massive lineup. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're doing really well.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great to see.
Yeah, and they've put a lot of thought into the way that it's all presented online. Like even down to like you tweet your talk and you get a nice little like nicely designed little speaker card thing that comes up there as a little image. They've put a lot of care into that. You can really tell.
They think of everything.
Are you coming along?
I wish I could. I'm too busy, unfortunately. Yeah, I might try and juggle things around because I've got a few friends down that way who keep sort of saying, come along, it'll be great.
Yeah.
And I could possibly bring my microphone along and do a few ad hoc podcasting
Maybe
things.
there's just too much choice. There's too many great folks there.
Amazing people, too little time.
Yeah.
But yeah, your talk then is on the theme of success and what that means. Is success related to kind of money?
Well, absolutely not. That's the I mean, it's probably it's not a spoiler alert because I think most people realize, but it's definitely that sense of we so typically judge success by financial metrics. And my talk very much focuses on the fact that we shouldn't do that, and that success is essentially down to how much you enjoy the work that you do, and sort of motivating people to follow their passions. And even though passion is that word that's kind of a bit overused these days, I think celebrating what it is that makes us want to create on a daily basis is really important. And there are it's not just a case of I've done talks in the past where I kind of look back and cringe because I've been like, everyone should be freelance and just like, go and do your own thing and it'll be amazing. Woo. And this kind of thing. And then as I've got older, I realized that's probably not necessarily helpful advice to give to people. So the talk tries to be like, you should do your own thing. You should take on, do side projects, do the work that you love.
Yeah.
But also give a little bit of a framework for how that can be beneficial, such as how that might actually lead to work. And I kind of show a few examples of how that's worked for me. I've been very, very fortunate in my career where some side projects that I've done through total naivety and not having any idea what I'm doing have ultimately led to a project or a job or multiple things. And so the talk kind of focuses around that kind of thing.
I think you're right. I mean, we all went through that phase, didn't we, where even on Creative Boom we would be shouting about going freelance and do your own thing and do your side projects. And I guess there's so many people out there who, for whatever reason, they haven't got the time, or it's too much of a leap.
Yeah.
Or it's too kind of, they don't have the same sort of opportunities perhaps to go there. And it's that kind of naivety, isn't it? We think we can all do it, but actually freelancing, running your own business, doing all these things, it's incredibly hard. So then in that case, if you have managed to do it, or even if you're sort of partly doing it, that is a success in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just being able to, of course, it is hard. I've been very fortunate. I've been in a position where, I've been able to use some free time to indulge in a side project versus, maybe having to work a second job like some folks have to do. Very, very privileged in that sense of being able to use that spare time to be able to do some of this stuff. But we were kind of having a chat earlier. I think that idea that some people say, how do you fit in creating all these different things? And actually, I think a lot of folks can spend a lot of time, binging Netflix and playing video games, and not there's anything wrong with that. And I personally need to get a lot better at learning how to relax a bit more.
Yeah.
I personally have used a lot of that, what I suppose people would say is sort of downtime to work on a side project or something like that. And but also to kind of to counter that, it's super important to me to spend a lot of family time. I'm very lucky that I get to be around where the kids are most of the time, and sort of nip in and out of the house throughout the day to kind of help out and stuff like that. And that's really nice. And so now these days, my side projects are kind of confined to like when everyone's in bed, pretty much.
When it's sort of dark and you've kind of got that sort of quiet time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think since having the kids, that having a really small window in which to be creative outside of, the sort of day job stuff has been really helpful, I guess, in a way. Just having those constraints on your time, it just forces you to kind of find some focus, I suppose. I personally am not a very focused person. I think I have a pretty short attention span and flit around between all these different things. So yeah, anything that kind of accidentally brings structure to my day is quite welcome.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking back in your career, and I remember when I first got to know you, and it was back in the sort of Carsonified days.
The olden days now.
The olden days, when you came out with this amazing website and everybody was like literally fainting. There were grown men in the street going, have you seen Elliot's work? And they were they were there. Like people were wafting, their hands over their faces and pulling them back up, But seriously, it was...
Oh, that's very kind of you.
It was a moment, wasn't it? It was a moment back then in web design. I think, it was just a very exciting time in that space. And you were kind of like, you were the pioneers. You were sort of changing the way websites looked and pushing boundaries. I mean, there was nothing like it before. So that must have been amazing to be part of that.
It was. I'm super, super grateful to sort of just been around at a time when that was sort of happening and we were kind of working everything out. After I kind of got off the Flash train, as that started to die, I got into web standards, and Zelban was writing about all that kind of stuff, and Dave Shea was doing the CSS Zen Garden, and I sort of went all into the web standards side of things. And I was very fortunate because when I moved from EMI, I worked with a company called Sanctuary Records, who were a smaller record label who they were kind of going down at the time. They weren't doing that great.
Oh dear.
But the great side of that was that I got to have loads of free time actually at work to learn all this stuff.
Great.
And around that time I was sort of submitting, I worked on a personal website. So I had I think a couple of versions of my personal site before that, but I kind of got a bit more serious about it, started blogging, and submitted that to a bunch of CSS galleries and things like that. And that's sort of when things managed to get a little bit more exposure and stuff like that. And at a similar time, I started writing some articles for some magazines like Computer Arts and .NET, and dipping my toe into public speaking and stuff like that. And that definitely helped, again, just being able to talk about all this new stuff that was coming out, all the CSS and all of these little tips and tricks for moving. I mean, back then it was all like embedding type into images and like image sprites for navigation that would move the image around so you could have a different color on hover. And it was clever. It's very, it's really antiquated now. Yeah.
Innocent times back when it was kind of, like the Wild West.
Yeah. And harder in some ways and actually loads easier in other ways. I think, I do kind of miss those times. And it was fun because everyone was just trying it out, and you kind of knew everyone who was involved in web design development. You could sort of get everybody in one room, and it was quite nice. And now, of course, it's a huge community. But it was wonderful to be part of that, and I'm super grateful for the generous words and the recognition that sort of came out of that era.
Yeah, definitely. You were a god amongst web designers.
Oh, I don't know about that. But I've got a lot of lanyards now anyway. So also,
I think like if you kind of put on a white robe, I've only met you for we've only been together for an hour and I'm already giving you banter.
I was walking the dog across the field the other day, and I saw one of my neighbors and she said, "Oh, I didn't recognize you. I just sort of saw this Jesus-like figure walking towards me." And I wasn't sure if it was a compliment. Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was a compliment or an insult, but I decided to take it as a compliment. So.
You should have said something like, you should have put your hand down and gone, "Go with peace."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, next time.
You have the world's easiest fancy dress party, outfit just there.
Yeah, maybe. I should have like a little sachet of wine hidden that I could just produce very quickly.
And some bread. There you go. Outfit sorted for the next IRL chat.
Yes, and also handy for parties.
I can't believe I just said that. So tell us more about Google, because you've been doing this amazing project, which I think by the looks of things, they've just left you to it, which is amazing. Google Fonts Knowledge. What's that all about?
Yeah, I've been super lucky there. So I pitched an idea to a friend of mine who was working at Google Fonts, which was essentially to, I've been teaching this typography workshop for a couple of years, and the content needed updating, and I had this vague idea that I wanted to turn it into a book.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, maybe they might be interested in kind of supporting that idea. And then so we started talking, and they were into it, and we were kind of doing some sort of research and development, and that transition from being a book to a website, and then that went from being a website to being part of Google Fonts, and it was wonderful because for a year or so I was kind of left to come up with a bunch of content around sort of general typography education. Wow. And it's been really fun. It also came at a really great time because I was a little bit burned out with design work, and especially sort of design leadership. I'd held a few sort of creative director roles that were quite different. Some were very hands-on, some weren't, and I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to be, how involved in the process I wanted to be. And then the pandemic hit and everything, and that was obviously a super hard year for everyone. And I was at a point where I thought, I just want to retreat to a cabin in the woods, and
which you pretty much have.
It's near that, I suppose. But yeah, just to kind of be undisturbed and to write a book in the woods kind of thing. And it was almost a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Metaphorically, it kind of ended up being this project where obviously, it's a collaboration with the team and a bunch of outside type experts as well. But I've been in many ways kind of left to sort of work on that myself. And then now it's live. We're working on new content, and I'm sort of commissioning other writers to come in and create a load of new content for it. And we're building out this big library of these articles and glossary terms. And it's now, very, very grateful to be in that position. I basically get to geek out about fonts all day, which is and get paid for it, which is very nice.
And then have a very disciplined hour of music making.
Yeah,
just living the dream now, basically.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. It's the music thing and the type thing. They're two very different worlds, but they're kind of colliding all the time. I'm trying to bring them together a little bit more and like talk about the music in conference talks and stuff like that. And because I think although music definitely isn't like sort of a professional side project in some of the ways that some of my other ones have been, it's still kind of all part of that, following your passions and being creative, and what you never know where one thing leads to another thing.
Sometimes the tools we use to be creative don't quite meet our needs. If you're a professional artist with an iPad, you'll be familiar with some of the limitations you face when trying to make your art. Astropad Studio is something that will definitely be of interest. It's the ultimate iPad app that's designed to give the flexibility of an Apple Pencil combined with the full desktop power of software like Illustrator or Photoshop. Sound good? There's a 30-day free trial of Astropad Studio waiting for you today. Plus save 10% on your first year when you enter the promo code BOOM at checkout. That applies to whether you opt for a monthly or an annual subscription. Just go to astropad.com to get started. My side project was Creative Boom, and it's a passion. And the things that I've kind of learned from that, I've everything and anything I've been through. And the site, when you look at it, is quite simple and clean, but all the stuff that goes on in the background, all the things we're constantly dealing with, people just don't. I think if you're not in this kind of world, you don't appreciate how much work goes on behind a side project, which is now not a side project, it's now my full-time thing, which is lovely.
And all that, the behind the scenes stuff, like you deciding to not fill the site with adverts, every other paragraph like most publishers do. It's a beautifully clean site. It's a lovely reading experience. This is one of the reasons I love it. I get why other publishers have gone, we have to have ads everywhere, and it's a way of kind ofsurviving in this day
Google's
and age,
fault. Google's fault. Just saying.
I can't act as an official representative there.
No. And we do get most of our traffic through search. So Google, we love Google.
But yeah, I mean, people do that, and I think hats off to you for saying we're not going to have advertising there. Partnerships is a much more tasteful way of kind of bringing in, what would be otherwise advertising revenue.
valuable content for the audience.
Yeah.
We try anyway. We sometimes get it wrong.
Do you get it wrong? When do you get it wrong, do you think?
Well, sometimes things happen. You know how it goes. You get a client, they sort of say, yeah, sure, we'll take your advice. We'll listen to you. We'll go down that route. And then when it comes down to it, they want to do something very specific and you're already too far down the road.
Right,
and
okay.
even though you've sort of said so many times this isn't going to work or it's not really kind of where we're at,
yeah,
they don't listen. And then you do the sort of campaign and then they go, oh, it didn't work. Why did it not work?
Oh, yeah.
We're like, we told you it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, that old one.
So even though I'm kind of no longer working for clients and now working in publishing, I'm still working for clients. There's no escape, Elliot. What am I going to do?
As in the parts of the partners of the clients. Yeah.
They're all lovely, by the way. I'm just being melodramatic.
Especially the sponsors of the podcast.
Especially the current sponsors. And the sponsor of this podcast is also very lovely.
Yes, exactly. The best.
Honestly, it's so funny, isn't it, when you're a creative, because we love doing work that's creative for a living. Yet we have to sort of do it with these sort of big brands and we have to be paid. There's always this kind of stigma, isn't there? That, do you ever feel guilty about getting paid for the creative work that you do?
Yeah, I do. I do in a way because, especially when you see folks, really slogging it through stuff and having nightmare time with clients or employers and whatnot, it does feel a little bit unfair that I get to geek out about fonts and get paid for it and some other stuff as well. But I think it's nice actually because I know in all of the creative industries, like clients, and all of the stories are the same. It doesn't matter whether you're working on the web or in publishing or
Make
you're a filmmaker.
Make it pop.
Exactly. I mean, my closest friend is a filmmaker, and he said exactly the same thing. The clients will request something, and you'll say that's not going to work. That's a terrible idea. Please trust in my ability as a creative. And lo and behold, it doesn't work, and then they're unhappy, and you say, well.
I told you so. I think it's a common affliction. It's dealing with people and making them feel like, what was that kind of, what do they call it? The classic blue duck. When you put in a sort of proposal, you're putting a blue duck. Is it? Just
to kind of, just to fill it out or to do the crazy option? No,
it's a way of like putting in a kind of random thing, literally like a blue duck. So that the client can go, yeah, we're really happy with it, but can we take out the blue duck?
Yes.
So then the client feels that they've had some input, they feel really clever, they don't realise they've just been, manipulated. And, and everybody goes away happy and the project's wonderful and it works.
Yeah, that does work. But another thing is that putting in another option just because you think, oh, I should show something that's radically different or... they'll want to see some variety, and it doesn't really need variety because we've got a really solid brief and we kind of know what we're going to put in there that would really answer that brief. But hey, let's just do this thing, and then they choose that one, and then you end up having to make this silly, half-baked idea. It's always the way.
Random kind of craziness. I love that. I love that. We all kind of go through the same pain and suffering. We don't really kind of talk about it enough, I don't think, that we've, but I think it's one of those things in life when you're a creative and you're a designer or you work either in-house or freelance, you can only really go through it yourself.
Yeah. But I think we're better at talking about it more these days.
Yeah, compared to sort of 20 years ago.
Yeah, massively.
Gosh, yeah.
Massively. So, and I think employers and clients and, colleagues kind of are more respectful of that thing. And, the fact that, burnout is something, we could say burnout here and people know what we're talking about and know what it is and maybe maybe experienced it as well. Whereas a few years ago, that would be not even sort of kosher to speak about that in many ways.
No, it would have been seen as a sign of weakness. Yeah, exactly. Your employability would have been
totally,
at risk.
Totally. And actually, the weakness thing, there is that sense of, excuse me, the talk that I was saying about sort of success and we're, so conditioned to think about success as a financial thing. Mm-hmm. I think in the tech industry, especially, and obviously kind of, West Coast US companies can be pretty can embody this as well, that sense of kind of growth for growth's sake. And I think when you're a freelancer, or when you're running maybe a really small independent business, there is that kind of general vague ambient pressure that you should be growing and you should be hiring and you should becoming a big agency and this kind of thing. And I really have always respected people who said, I don't see it as a sign of weakness to say, I want to stay small. I want to focus on having a really good work-life balance, quality of life, getting to spend time with my family, not spending my time managing a bunch of people and this kind of thing. And, always really respected anyone who's happy to kind of go against the grain there. Yeah. Much like yourself. Exactly. And people are scared of doing that because, it does seem like a sign of weakness, and it's not what we're conditioned to see as a success.
Yeah, I think, definitely. And there's a lot of ego there as well. And people kind of, I think, but probably more so when I first started, going freelance, I noticed it a lot more that it was very much the kind of the trophy thing that everybody was aiming for, to have staff, to have a really cool office space with plants, with vinyl toys, all the other stuff that I'm seeing around here. And, nice vintage kettle like that. No, I mean, it's interesting. And then with my time in Manchester over the sort of 15 years or so, to see some of those same people who grew agencies, grew design studios, now have folded or closed them down and gone on to do other things, and probably got the scars and the kind of, the stories to go with them. And I respect them because at least they kind of, tried something, but learned the hard way that you didn't really need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people are, what are we doing any of this stuff for? Is it so that we can retire early? And maybe is it that so that we can look back on your deathbed and say, well, at least I, worked really hard and did all that stuff. I think you've got to remember, and we're all guilty of this. I'm certainly guilty of it as well. Like, why are we doing this thing that we're doing right now? What can it bring to our sort of quality of life right now? And this is something that Sam and I sort of discussed a lot with our magazine Logon that we ran for 10 issues. And that is the crux of it. That ultimately, it wasn't financially successful, but as a side project, certainly opened doors for future work for both of us, and also enabled the kind of lifestyle that we want to live now. Again, not from a financial perspective, because we were sort of doing other work at the same time as well. But certainly, we could head off to Paris to interview Kate Staples from This Is the Kit and take our then 2-year-old daughter with us and just kind of have fun, like living that lifestyle a bit. And not financially successful at all, but it enabled those memories and the people that we met and that connectedness, and that kind of stuff is you can't put a price on that. Figures in a bank account don't. They can't compete with some of those memories.
They certainly can't. And you're right. A lot of people do focus on the turnover and the kind of profit and where we're going to be in 3 years' time and 5 years' time.
Yeah. And you might be dead in 5 years' time. You know, it's like it could, you could step out and be hit by a bus tomorrow. I think it's important to be enjoying the time that you have now. And the thing that I always come back to is that when most of the time that you're awake, you're at work or you're doing the thing that is kind of your, quote unquote work, your job, as it were. But if you're doing that, if you're spending most of your waking hours doing that thing, then ideally it should be something that if you not outright love, that you should at least really, really care about. And maybe if it's not, there are some questions to ask about what is it that I want to do, or how do I change the situation in some way? How do I perhaps have a creative outlet outside of my day job to kind of get that balance in there?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's you got to remember that to be in the present, and that right now, that's the time to be doing these things. And it's also a talk I did a few years ago, which is about sort of how there's never a good time to do anything. Like if you're always waiting for the right time to start that new business or to try out that idea or to kick off this side project. Like it's always going to be a bad time ultimately. So the time is always now, because what other choice do you really have?
I couldn't agree more. And, when you're in that moment and you realize you're not doing something you love, I think we've all been there, right?
Yeah, totally.
Burnt out and kind of confused. And it feels like you're trapped and you can't change anything because you've got bills to pay and in many cases families to look after, mouths to feed. And it's how you kind of, how you sort of take that step. It's almost like you have a moment of clarification, and it can be anything. You can be sort of on a holiday, finally getting some space to think about what you want to do, where you'd be happy. You could be at an amazing conference dancing with your, dancing to a band at Adobe Max, which is kind of what happened to me once. Sounds so.
Who was the band?
The Black Keys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We were the only ones there dancing. Because the rest were just sort of American, bless them, if dare I say it, geeks who were just sort of nodding their head very kind of quietly, whereas we were jumping up and down and throwing our arms around, the British journalists, giving it some. They were great, actually. They're a good band.
That's a pretty high-profile band to play at Adobe Max.
I know, it was a few years ago. That same year was when I rang my husband. It must have been about 4 a.m. back home. And I went, I've just realised I don't want children and it's going to be okay. And he went, all right.
What did Adobe tell you?
It wasn't Adobe. I mean, I was 32 and I was going through, I'd been married for a while by then, and I was going through a few years of panic traveling and panic doing everything I possibly could before I became a mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then when I was in LA, dancing to the Black Keys sounds so utterly shallow. It wasn't. It was a kind of long time coming. I just realised, I've got a choice. I don't want kids. There may be some moments where I regret not having them, and everything will be all right. So I rang up Tom straight away.
Excellent.
And he just went, oh, well, I didn't really want them either. And I went, you could have told me this. And he was like, well, you've kind of got to go through more than me. You've actually got to physically have them. So I was just going to leave that up to you, really. And I was like, cool. And he went, anyway, we'll talk about it when you get home. I was like, okay, bye, love you. And that was kind of it. But, God, how did we come on to this? I think that there's just these moments in life that are so kind of, I don't know whether this is the case for everybody else. I sometimes look back on my life as if it's kind of like more meaningful than it really is. But I just have these moments of clarity when it just suddenly comes together. And it might have been a few years. It might have been a whole life of, moments wrapped up into one. And you just sort of, I think I'm very lucky that I can have these clarifications and do something about
definitely.
it.
Yeah, because so many people will, spend a long time, I guess, what's the word? Like, I suppose sort of conforming to that idea of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
That, society, what it tells you, what, all the career advice tells you and things like this. And a lot of people just get stuck in that. I've known so many who is like, I'm just going to do this thing for a bit longer before I, do this other thing, and, waiting for that moment or sort of being, I think it's so easy to get stuck because you have all these external forces kind of telling you this is the thing that you should be doing. And, social, you've got all these external people reminding you of how amazing their life is and how
social
awful
media.
yours is by comparison. Yeah.
Oh, Instagram is just the worst.
And you've recently sort of had a bit of a social media detox, right? Which we ended up kind of having a bit of an email exchange about.
We did. I was very kind of honoured, to be, I'm not technically, an expert in any, stretch by any stretch. And then to have you email and say, oh yeah, I'm thinking of doing a bit of a digital detox myself. What advice can you give? And I'm like, well, I put my hands together like this. Pull up your chair.
For a little bit.
I did levitate. I did. I was like, right, that's it. I've reached peak Cowan. That's it. Now I need a badge. I need some lanyards.
Yeah, you'd written like a number of really great posts about it.
Oh, thank you.
And I was like, this is cool. This is what I should be doing. It's really hard though, because
it totally is.
Just social media, like using sort of from a personal perspective, I think is a little bit is easier to kind of go, okay, I can. Well, it's not easy, but if you want to kind of like put the put the brakes on, you can. But
Yeah.
balancing it with the fact that, we work in an industry, like many industries, that have to kind of use it. It's kind of essential part of marketing. And, music stuff as well, which again is not sort of as a professional thing for me, so to speak, but it is, I have to, still get the word out there, and you kind of sadly need social media to do it. It's really hard to be mindful of that, to use it in a sort of responsible way where you're personally going, I'm not addicted to this, I'm not doom scrolling, I'm not all this kind of thing, but yet also go, okay, well, I've got to use it for some element of work. How do I make that balance? And it's super hard. But you've done kind of, one of the things is that you did, so you said you had to have a Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
But you would create a new profile that it's basically like not a real profile. It's not connected
Facebook,
in any way.
They told me off.
That. Oh, really?
Yeah. So I used my great grandmother's name initially as a separate sort of account. And I came off Facebook, Katie Cowan. And then for some reason, something happened that I had to update my page or something, and then I had to use my real details.
Right.
So Facebook told me off. We had an exchange of messages.
And they said that you had to
use my real name.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I ended up saying, I'm really sorry, Facebook. Here's my real name. This is why I did it. I'm trying to be more private. And they were like, okay, we'll forgive you, Katie. Go in peace.
Wow. Okay.
And I keep that just to manage a Facebook page, which I might as well not bother updating, because the engagement on there, even though I've got 100,000 followers.
Wow, really?
Is just absurd now. They want you to pay for it.
Everything.
It's just.
You got to pay for everything. This is the thing with anything that I've stopped using. So I use Instagram for kind of music stuff. Mm-hmm. And I know it's owned by Facebook, so it kind of seems silly to be kind of anti-Facebook about it, but it's more just, but Facebook itself, like Facebook proper, is just, you just got to you got to pay for everything. And as you say, you can have a sizable audience and have like zero reach, basically. It's just the way, I don't know. I'm not a fan. So I stopped posting anything to Facebook, or I let some stuff go up automatically, and it's just, I have a real love-hate thing with it. Yeah,
we all have love-hate relationship with these things, because like I wouldn't have been able to grow Creative Beam without. I wouldn't have been able to grow Creative Beam without having, these sort of platforms which were free and very engaging to start with. So I'm very grateful for them, and I appreciate at the size that we are now. I should be paying to reach the same audience. That's fair enough. I get that. I would gladly welcome a subscription model for businesses, so that we could sort of, gain back some of that natural engagement, natural reach with the kind of audience we've built. That would be amazing. I would pay for advertising if I trusted Meta. I don't trust Meta. And also it kind of goes against the principles of Creative Beam. I don't really want to sort of promote if I can avoid it, and for the most part have through these platforms. I feel like, it goes against the principles that we've always sort of tried to have.
It's also kind of weird, this kind of, you're kind of lulled in by like, oh, we'll give you all these views and, all this engagement.
I don't trust it.
And you get to that point, and then they're like, actually, now we're pretty much going to shut that off. And if you still want to keep doing that, then you've got to do adverts, which are probably not going to be very successful.
Yes.
And I just have a real problem with that. The fact that you're sort of enticed in by the access supposedly to this great audience, and then you're effectively kind of cut off from then accessing that audience that you've built through all those hours of, it's not even just like, posting a link, it's like, oh, and I've got to caption this slightly differently, and I've got to mention someone slightly differently, and it's slightly different on Instagram to Facebook, so I've got to make sure that their username is this one here, and oh man, it's a lot of work.
This is why I kind of did a digital detox, and I even came off things like Strava, which I'd been religiously a member of for years, especially when I was sort of into cycling and going all around. And it was quite painful to say goodbye to all those recorded, routes that I'd done,
Yeah.
that epic cycling ride that I did around Snowdonia once and nearly died.
Yeah. Was that just because it was kind of easier to have a full detox if you could get rid of that stuff too?
I think the kind of underlying reason for doing all this was realizing that I was picking up my phone and checking about 5 or 6 different apps.
Yeah.
So Strava, Twitter, Instagram, maybe even LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it was just a case of going, what am I doing?
That thing of like, oh, I need to check things. Oh, I've checked that thing. I'm sure there's something else I need to check.
Yeah.
Oh, or maybe I'll find, okay, I'll open up that.
Clever
Okay.
bastards.
And then just completely conditioned.
Yeah, we have been completely, and it's the dopamine hit as well, isn't it? The kind of likes and the retweets. And
Yeah, exactly. And just that sense of, oh, there's some new content.
Yeah.
Pull to refresh. And you might get something new. Some other horrible headline.
Exactly. Some other thing to remind us that life can be awful.
Yeah.
But have you gone down the route of like creating videos yet? I see that there's definitely space on the roof here for like a disco light, glitter ball.
Yeah, I have done some music stuff, like little kind of live jams and stuff, but nothing particularly serious. This is the other thing. I kind of feel like, every now and again you do like an Instagram reel or something, and then it's like, it's got loads of engagement. I should do more of this thing. And then suddenly you're just, full-time video content producer.
This is
and
the
obviously
thing.
It works great for some people, and they're pulling in lots of great advertising revenue from YouTube and things like this. But these things do become full-time jobs in themselves, or not necessarily full-time, but they can be.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to get sucked into that sense of, I should be doing this. I should be communicating my work and my output in the same way. That said, to play devil's advocate, have very consciously recently gone, you know what, I've got this audience on my personal Instagram that is mainly probably sort of type design people. I should probably be putting out some more type design stuff that might help. So I've kind of got this vague notion that at some point I might dabble with type design.
Nice.
And I was like, I should probably use this space to kind of queue up some experiments in that area.
Ooh.
So,
Are we going to be launching a foundry?
I mean, I'm tempted at some point.
That'd be incredible.
Well, I mean, it might be terrible. I'm terrible at drawing typefaces currently. My existing experiments have been pretty bad. But I'm lucky because my friend Jamie Clark now lives up the road. He lives in this village too.
Wow.
And we know each other from London. And he does some really beautiful lettering and type designs, and is very successful at that. And so he's quite a good resource. So he's going to be getting me kind of knocking on the door and just kind of getting all the questions about using Glyphs app and stuff like that. But yeah, I've never, people said, you're involved in type industry. Do you want to do typefaces? And I've never really wanted to do it myself because it's such a commitment. It's such a long project, to really get involved with that. And I've been scared of that. But I think now I've started, I don't know what has happened. I suppose it's wanting to sit in a cabin in the woods and be undisturbed and this time it's going to be designing typefaces. So maybe at some point.
Well, when we look at the kind of career you've had and the kind of twists and turns, you started off, you called yourself just a simple web designer, and then that's kind of evolved. I mean, you've kind of really carved a role out for yourself as and when, like passions and side projects have taken you. So I can see that happening. I can see you becoming a type designer.
It's possible. It's lots of deciding to do something that I know very little about, and just seeing where it goes, and then suddenly realizing, oh God, this is a huge rabbit hole that I've just gone down. That's definitely where generally things have taken me. I think if you look back and go, I never would have done that had I known how much work was involved.
Yeah.
And especially with things like the magazines, I was like, cool, I'll design some stuff and I'll write about design. Brilliant. But that's like a tiny, tiny part of the job. It's all of the logistical stuff. Again, come back to the things that happen in the background. That's the stuff that takes the time and the effort, and you need to kind of learn about by doing.
Yeah.
And this is also a thing that I was saying in the talk in Hamburg, that some of that stuff actually I realized was quite enjoyable in a way that I didn't think I would enjoy, the kind of logistical side of things, and the, dealing with partnerships and sort of managing the contributors to the magazines and things like that, that was really fun, especially in hindsight, that whole process, the process of creating each issue, was kind of almost more fun than designing the actual output. At the end, you would kind of get this magazine sitting on your shelves and it's great, but the process of creation was the thing that I think I loved the most about those side projects.
Sounds like you've really kind of found yourself of late then, if I dare say that.
Definitely of late, because definitely the long period of just going, oh God, what am I doing? And then sort of deciding on something, and then soon after going, oh God, what am I doing? Yeah, but recently there's, I suppose, been a little bit more of contentedness, I suppose, in my work.
Yeah, I think the pandemic for many of us allowed us to take a step back and go, gosh, I've been working really hard for many years, running, so to speak. And, you know, I suppose not everybody has the luxury of being able to do that. But I think the pandemic was a very, dare I say it, was a good level of the playing field. Everybody was in the same boat suddenly. And we got a chance to sort of reassess.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that's kind of almost a bit of a shame is that everyone got a taste of remote work.
Yeah.
And it's not novel anymore. Like I've been working remotely for years.
Have you really?
Since Adobe. So like, like 2013 or something like that. Almost every role I've had after that has always been working remotely with like an occasional visit to wherever, whether that's somewhere in the US or London or whatever. And it was quite novel being able to, you know, work from home and do that kind of thing. And now everyone does it. And it's interesting though, because a lot of people have been like, oh, I could never do that. And then obviously everyone's forced into doing it. Yeah. And yeah, it can be challenging for sure. It was super challenging when we had the first, it kind of blends in, but the first lockdown, and we were having to homeschool our oldest daughter, and our youngest was 2. Thea, yeah, and Gwen was 2 at the time. So there was like the demands of like crazy 2-year-old whilst trying to educate then 5-year-old, and whilst doing some work, and like all the business kind of going away. And yeah, it was a tough time, but I shouldn't complain, because some people had a really rough time, and I think generally we kind of escaped pretty unscathed from that whole
perspective
thing.
Though.
Yeah, it's all relative, I suppose.
It's all relative. It's definitely all relative. So where are you heading next, Elliot? Where can we expect to see you in a couple of years' time, apart from starting your own foundry, becoming a legendary type designer, going on tour?
I shouldn't have said it, because now I'm just going to be terrible at type design, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, and he set it all up to be like he's going to do a foundry. And,
you know, he was showing off back in the day, back in the castonified days, you know. Now he's just in a cabin in the woods with an axe and all these lanyards, nothing to show for it.
Exactly. It's possible. It's possible. I really do. I've always liked doing a lot of different things, like whether that's different mediums, so doing print design side projects when I'm, you know, a full-time web designer, or doing music alongside other things. So I can guarantee that probably in 2 years' time, I'm going to be wanting to do something else different or doing some kind of different side project. I'd like to be doing more music. I'd like music to take up more of my time, I suppose. That would be nice. I think I'm always going to be doing something kind of typographic in some way. That's kind of where things have sort of headed. I really like being sort of the kind of the glue between different people who, so for instance, done a lot of work with like people who maybe companies are interested in getting a bespoke typeface designed. And I've been sort of that glue between the company who want that and then the type foundry, and sort of helping the company who want the custom typeface work out what it is they want and how to kind of talk to foundries and understand that relationship, and also then help the foundry translate some of their more technical sort of geekier details back to the client. And that's been quite fun in the past, because it's sort of just having your foot in 2 or more different worlds and sort of translating those things. And I think some of the Google Fonts knowledge has been a little bit like that, in a way, in that we're trying to make good typography, accessible to everybody. So whether you're a seasoned designer who wants to know about some of the newer stuff with, say, variable fonts, or if you're just starting out and want to, do some better typesetting for some Word documents, the idea is that it should be accessible to you, and if you want to go down a rabbit hole, then you can. And that's been nice to kind of, again, sort of bridge different worlds, I suppose.
Yeah, it's community when you're not all in the same room as well, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. But I would love to be doing some more talks. I mean, this talk that I did in Hamburg last week was, as I said, the first this side of the pandemic. I've got a couple. I've got 3 more booked in for this year.
Wow.
Which I'm really excited about. They're all in-person conferences,
IRL.
which is going to be great. Yeah, I know. It's going to be it's lovely just having that connection with people in an actual room. Loads of people did a great job transitioning to virtual events, and Mark Thiele, who runs Beyond Tellerrand, he did Stay Curious was one of the best ones that I've spoken at, that tried to capture that vibe from that audience somehow and sort of put that online. But obviously nothing quite compares to kind of being there in person. And so I'd like to keep doing much more of that. Although I'm also reminded that, travel, it's so fun and it's brilliant. And then the other day I had a flight cancelled and had to spend 6.5 hours stuck in an airport. Yeah. So
with loads of other people.
Yeah.
Were you tempted to sort of, divide the bread out and hand some wine out?
I only had one sachet left, so I wouldn't have gone there.
Oh, wow. No, never mind. Well, that's great. Well, honestly, it's just been an absolute pleasure to come and visit you here at your home.
Oh, thanks for coming. It's been lovely talking.
Thank you so much for chatting about your adventurous life so far.
It's very nice of you to say it's adventurous. I'll take it. Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about Elliot Jay Stocks, go to our show notes via creativeboom.com/podcast. And if you're enjoying these episodes, don't forget to hit subscribe or leave us a review. It really helps. Thanks again to our sponsor, Astropad Studio, the ultimate iPad app for professional artists everywhere. To take your creative workflow to the next level, start your 30-day free trial of Astropad Studio today and save 10% on your first year when you enter the promo code BOOM at checkout. Just go to astropad.com. Next time, I'll be speaking with Aisha Tengiz, an artist based in London specialising in illustration, animation and textile design.